Nightwing Annual #1, Benjamin Percy writing, Otto Schmidt on art. Oh, that team back together again. It's like the old days in Green Arrow.
Yeah. Felt very Green Arrow as well. Like I almost feel like this could have popped up during the who are the bad guys?
The Ninth Circle?
Yeah, the Ninth Circle. I feel like the dark you substitute the name Dark Web for Ninth Circle and you're still in game.
Maybe that's a critique that they're too similar. He's not doing
And that's
different
not a
things.
critique. It's just it's Ben Percy doing what Ben Percy does. Like he
Yeah.
hits, and that's fine.
Joe, I'll say I love the idea that Dick has fun flirting with Vicky Vale just because it's someone who used to date Bruce.
Yep.
And she doesn't know that she's flirting with. I mean, she knows that Nightwing and Batman are of course related, but she doesn't know that Bruce is Batman. So
I feel that that's just Vicky's setting because that's how she gets people to open up.
oh sure, yeah,
You know.
yeah, but everyone's going to flirt with Dick because
Have
Dick.
you've seen his behind,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Yeah, well, I mean, that glute master's not there for nothing.
Yeah, man. I love when they play with stuff like that. Like it's well known he has the best glutes in the DC universe.
So that's what it is about. So we're still playing with the dark web stuff. Barbara helps Dick back on his feet. She also gives him a new big truck. This new. Do you know what it reminded me of? It reminded, if you ever seen Universal Soldier, the first Universal Soldier movie, their base was like in a truck.
It was like a comm center.
Yeah. And this is what this is like. It's like a rolling back cave, as he puts it. But because she knows him, she's like, "Oh, I've got that shitty cereal you like. I've got these different, these various things around the place on top of the usual equipment. Plus, here's a new fancy bike, which for the more intimate, intricate movement as you're going around zipping and whizzing by. So, whizzing by is what I meant to say. So that's fast. That's okay. So we've got a new sort of like base for Dick, which is cool.
Yeah.
I like that. I think what I like the most though is that Dick during this scene when he's like sort of narrating, he's kind of talking about how okay, sure, I'm flirting with Vicky, but I mean, Barbara feels like home. Like what? It doesn't matter what else happens.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I dug that. But
of course you did.
And Connor, what's the face you're making?
I just I really didn't want to go back to the Dick Bab stuff.
You're wrong. You're just wrong.
It doesn't make any sense to me.
No, here's the thing, though. This is what I appreciate about this issue. So, he's really aggressively flirting with Vicky Vale. And I'm like, oh, so is Percy going to get away from the Dick and Bab stuff? And it feels like he's getting towards that line. And then when you get to Barbara just feels right. Barbara feels home. Like, all of that led up to that. And I really liked that turn that it made where he was like, oh, no, it's Dick and Bab's forever.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I don't get. I don't think they're that great together. I think they're good together, and I think I know this thing. I think they were a fantastic pairing when they were both younger, and the idea that we're both in Gotham. There's limited options. Of course, they ended up together, but as they went out into the larger DC universe at whole, I think that there's better matches out there for them. That there's we often talk about how Dick is the heart and soul of the DC universe, and how he has ties to all the different groups.
Mm-hmm.
I think that just putting him with Babs and putting him with I think it's a disservice to his character, frankly.
Oh, I disagree.
Yeah, I completely disagree.
I like that there's that unresolved stuff with Starfire. I don't even know if they've almost gotten married still, if that's still continuity.
I'm not sure. Yeah.
But I like that they do have a history, but he still goes back to Babs.
It's kind of what he says in this issue. She's it doesn't matter where he goes and what he goes off and does. When he comes back with her, it's like back to what feels right.
That's the thing I just don't agree with. That doesn't feel right to me.
Makes me feel warm and fuzzy inside.
Yeah, it makes me feel warm and fuzzy. I am so glad that the writers seem to agree with me and not Connor.
Like I was saying, I was worried that he was going to undo it just to add something different, because that's what I thought the Vicky Vale stuff was. And then as it goes on, I started to get more worried, and then this scene happens.
Yeah, I feel like
in the truck.
I feel like there's some nice synergy here between the Batgirl 25 and then this. I feel like the group editor here, or at least Scott and Percy might be colluding a little bit to make it all feel right.
If they announced like a Dick and Babs book, like that'd be cool. If that's what this is kind of leading to.
I don't think it's leading to that, but I'd be down for it.
Yeah, like
I'll take
I
it.
could see that because they've been rolling around, not rolling around. That sounded dirty. They've been, in each other's orbit more recently, than or more often than not recently. So, but no,
Yeah.
this issue, um,
The
the,
feed.
Percy, well, yeah, Percy and his not so subtle critique of what's going on in the real world is back
Yes.
again,
Yes.
which again made me feel
Yeah,
like,
Joe,
did again two on the nose. It did not need you
yeah,
actually name dropping deepfakes.
oh sure, yeah.
no,
So, Joe, what I liked about it though, I liked that there was a bit of a swerve when the feed first popped up and he said, "Oh, you can't
Mhm.
trust the news. We're going to be your honest
No,
and reliable news." I liked it immediately, and like the next page, it was like, no,
no,
the newspapers they're saying to one stand are saying the complete opposite from what
no,
the news stand at the other side of the city's saying. I
yep,
kind of like that, just in a like, no, they're going like super fake news. Like they're just like,
yeah.
like there's riots over here, they're not happening. There's stuff over
Yeah,
here
so they're
happening,
not
that's not
taking a
happening.
morsel of truth in the fake news, so it feels like, oh, maybe this person that's calling it fake knows what they're talking about. They're completely making up fake news and putting it against other fake news.
Yeah,
Like it's a
and it's also
whole.
worth mentioning they've also hacked
Yeah.
every single newspaper and newsroom, so
Yep.
that they're pumping out all their stuff through all their
They're the sole
channels.
media in Gotham City right now.
Yes,
Like
which
that's it.
I will say, like I'm cool with Dick being in Gotham and doing that kind of stuff, but I do think it's a bit weird that there's not even like Batman showing up and like, hey, why has my city been taken over? Like, what?
Yeah,
Like this is so big in Gotham that Batman would be involved. He'd show up and have an opinion
He's
on
on
this.
vacation.
it is that. No, Batman doesn't take a vacation. We've learned
Uh,
this. When he
He's
does, he goes and no. When he does, he goes and tampers with the jury.
yeah,
That's what we learned.
that's what's happening at the minute. He's in jury duty
Yeah. Well, then how come Dick's not just as Batman
yeah,
dealing with
exactly.
this?
because it's daytime.
Yeah. So it is Percy, but it is what I love about Percy is that it is sloppy, but it's sloppy in a way that's endearing.
Actually, speaking
So
of sloppy, I actually loved when Dick tries to chase the assistant dude, but he's like,
yeah,
"This is the problem with fluorescent lights. You can't be really sneaky." And you just see this big wide shot of him chasing this guy down. It looks really goofy. He looks just running in the bright lights in this costume, and I kind of
yeah.
like that. It was like kind of like shining a light on him and being like, "Yeah, this is kind of silly when you're not doing it in the shadows and on the
Al-
rooftops and the nightscape and all that."
Also, the thumb drive that was actually a thumb.
Oh yeah,
That gave me a good laugh. That was pretty good.
yeah.
Like, count his fingers. Oh, he only has four. Something's up. And the thumb sticking out of the side of a computer in a USB port. And I was just like, that's good.
Yeah.
Percy, you done good.
Also, the woman, the entity that was like the spokesperson for the feed, when she
Yeah.
went like all demonic, like evil at the end with the big teeth, I was like, oh, she looks kind of cool. Like I'm digging the
Yeah,
monstrosity of the design.
I have zero idea where this is going. Like I know it goes in with Worm and whatnot, but I don't know. It definitely feels like he's running back the Ninth Circle, but just as the Dark Web.
Hmm.
So, but
I think
we'll
that's part of why I'm not feeling it so much. I feel
Yeah.
like we just had this story, and this doesn't feel fresh enough. It doesn't feel like you've replaced Ollie with Dick, and you've replaced Dino with Babs.
And I feel like you could have put in, the flirting and stuff. That could have been the news person from Star
Yeah.
City.
Yeah, and I think that's why I'm not really feeling. I'm like, it just feels like more of the same. Which, if this was just more Green Arrow, would be fine because
Yeah.
I wanted more of the same. But when you come to do something new, you come on a new book, you've got to bring something new to it. You can't just use the same thing again, and that's kind of what this feels like to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean I can't really argue with
Schmidt's
that,
art.
but
Schmidt's art looks good though. I like his Vicky Vale. Like it was cool seeing her again. I will say that because
yeah,
I forget.
she's got a nice
Yes.
attitude
Yeah.
to her in this, just in terms of visuals as well as the dialogue.
In terms of art, the only problems I had were a couple of times where Babs's lips, like on the
Yeah,
second
but
page, she's meant to be biting her bottom lip, but it looks just
yeah, that's my main problem with Schmidt. I like how angular and stuff it is. It feels very stylized, but sometimes the faces look a little flat.
yeah.
Like there's no depth to them. So
I think what it is that a lot of the time he doesn't draw lips,
right.
and you get away with that until you start putting lips on some characters, but not others, and then they look a bit weird.
Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah. No, I mean I enjoy it. I mean is it my favourite of his Nightwing issues so far? It might be. It might be. I kind of like the threat to the city. The stuff with Vicky's a lot of fun. The stuff with Babs is kind of sweet. The overall threat is kind of interesting. I like the design of the evil news lady when she goes full demon at the end. I have very little to complain about. I can't argue that it's basically just doing the same beats that Green Arrow did. I think that's a fair complaint to make, but ultimately, is it bothering me that much? As of now, it's not.
Fair enough.
As of now, I don't really care. I mean, it might bother me later if I feel like it's just doing the exact same story overall, but I mean, it could be going in a completely different direction once it actually, picks up or whatever.
Yeah,
it's even like, you know how, okay, he's got the roving Batmobile now, and I'm like, didn't we do a road trip with Ollie?
Yeah, but I don't think he's gonna have a road trip.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to be a road trip. I think that's making a leap.
No,
Okay.
that's just him, and I get it because you don't want to have him have the Nightwing cave or whatever. So I like that it strikes him different.
I feel like this is just really something he has in Bloodhaven. Around. Yeah.
No, that's fair enough. It was just like, okay, are we doing that in 2 or 3 arcs time now?
I feel like you're jumping the gun a little bit because you've made this connection now and you're being a little bit cynical.
Oh, maybe, but once I felt the connection, it felt like some of these things were related to that as well. Not for necessarily, immediately he's going on a road trip, but just more like, okay, that's there if he wants to now. Like, that's there for him to use. And it felt that's all I noticed.
I think if he eventually goes on a road trip, that's the point where you say he's just doing the exact same run again. I think at this point, it's fair to critique it and say it's a very similar thing so far, and a lot of the same building blocks are the same. Like, you've got Babs instead of Dinah, it's Dick instead of Ollie, the Dark Webs instead of the Ninth Circle, and there's all these correlations you can make. But I don't think until you can actually put all, like, okay, that's that arc, and then that's that arc. Until you can say, no, Force Awakens is A New Hope, and then the next one's Empire Strikes Back. Once we can get to that point and we can just like say, no, that's that one and that's that one, then I think it's more of a problem. But
no, it might be. I think it was just it's so noticeable because this is right at the start of the story.
Well, it doesn't help that Otto Schmidt either.
No, that probably doesn't help bring him back a key artist from that run. It just evokes it even more.
I don't think the first arc was super similar to Nightwing though, or to Green Arrow as much though. Like,
no, it was
because I can't think of a correlation for Willem in like that revelation, right?
No, I'm not saying it's the exact same thing, but there's a lot of the same beats. Like, he's getting himself into a groove. But I like Percy enough that I'm willing to see where it goes, and I don't think he's going to run it back. But like Pete's saying, once it gets there, if he goes out and off of Bloodhaven, there's this floating, yacht that's the tech thing, then we're going to have some issues. But until then,
it'll just be digital. No, it'll be in VR, Matt, but it'll be the same thing, just in VR. The Heidi hole. Yeah.
There was enough that was here that I liked, like the Vicky Vale stuff. I really like the fact that she's constantly drinking a triple shot Americano. It's like, how much caffeine is this woman getting in a day?
Yeah, for me, I think the character stuff's all working, and I don't have this weird issue with Dick and Babs that Connor does.
Yeah, as long as the character stuff's up. Yeah, well, as long as the character stuff's up, I can deal with lazy plot, kind of. Because as long as I care what Dick's going through, I like that he's made him a Luddite that, doesn't understand technology and whatnot. Like, that's fun. So.
On that point, I thought he was weirdly competent with technology in this issue. Where he's like, okay, when you get a virus, you don't try and flush down. You shut it all down, you trap it in, and you cleanse it from there.
Yeah.
Yeah, Babs told him that. But Babs told him specifically that a few issues ago.
No, that's fair. But it just the way he speaks with such authority in this issue on everything related to it.
Well, that just told me he was being a bit cocky because of what Babs told him.
No, maybe
like, I know how to deal with this now. You cut it off from the source, and then it's like, well, no, now it's stuck. Yeah.
It felt like he was suddenly just, okay, I know exactly what to do.
Yeah, it's just because that little bit of narration stuck out to me, but it stuck out to me because Babs said almost the exact same thing to him, word for word, like a few issues ago. And I think that's why he's saying it. It's because Babs taught him that. He's just reiterating it completely.
Fair enough.
No, I mean, I'm having fun with it. I feel like... Because this is the weird thing. I don't think Green Arrow was ever that great plot-wise either. Like, it was solid.
Yeah. But here's the difference. It was the first time it was that plot. I mean, so it was enjoyable, it was exciting, it was fresh.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's true, but ultimately, in like 5 years' time, if I look back in these two runs and they're both pretty similar, ultimately I'm probably going to pick Nightwing over Green Arrow just because I like Nightwing more. At that point, it's
Oh,
just down
no,
to taste.
that-
Like, to me, it doesn't really matter that much which one was first. I guess is what I'm
I
saying.
say I do because one's original and one's not. Like, I'll go with the original first because at least that was what he did with Ollie was something new, right? We hadn't seen Ollie come up against, this banking syndicate or whatever.
Sure.
But now that we're seeing Nightwing go against this web, whoever is behind all of
I mean,
this,
it depends
we
how
still don't
similar
know.
it is. I feel like
Yeah.
I think we're shoehorning a lot of notions into how similar this run might end up being, just based
Yeah,
on
and that's it.
suspicions of
I like
an issue
Percy
and an
enough.
arc.
Yeah, I like Percy enough that I'm still. It's like, I don't care if it's running it back. I just wanted to point out that I thought that it was running it back. I'm still going to read Nightwing because I enjoy his Nightwing. Like I enjoy.
I think that's the thing as well for me is I'm not enjoying his voice for Nightwing as much. I think the voice itself's okay, but yeah, I've said making him. Matt, you said you like making him a Luddite. I don't like that. I'm not a fan of. Okay, let's make him nostalgic and go back to Babs.
Well, no, I just
that
like
stuff's
that
not working for me. And if those are the core beats that like Pete's saying, okay, the plot doesn't really matter if the character stuff's there.
Yeah.
If that's the character stuff, and
Well,
I'm
yeah.
not really enjoying that
Yeah,
either.
I get that. That's consistent. I understand that, but I like that he's kind of a lunkhead too.
Because for me that was kind of the same thing for Green Arrow. Is the plot is fine, like the Ninth Circle was fine, but I wasn't excited by the Ninth Circle. I was excited because Dick and Ollie and Dinah, their relationship and how he was with Emmy and the art was always great. Like that was what I loved about Green Arrow.
Yeah, let's not sleep on the fact that Emmy fought an actual dragon though. Like,
I will say on that, I think the designs were better in Green Arrow.
Well,
Like,
yes,
for the Ninth Circle and stuff versus the web so far.
Oh, sure, that's fair. I mean, that's just out of taste, but that's fair.
No, it is, yeah.
Yeah.
I will say I did enjoy this art, although I do like Schmidt already, because I haven't been really enjoying the art that we have gotten in Nightwing. So I thought that was a step up, despite the blackness.
Though, Oliver never had that cool visor, so
Well, and that's why it was better automatically.
Yeah, I'm just saying. Now, the way I want to think I'm arguing that the Nightwing run's already better than Green Arrow. I'm not, and I'm not necessarily saying it even will be. I'm just saying that if we get to the end and they're a very similar level of quality and they're very similar stories, ultimately I might pick Nightwing over Green Arrow just because I like the character more. I'm more invested in Dick than I am Ollie. But I mean, that's just assuming that they measure up so equally.
Sorry, I'm 12 years old.
What did I say about Dick? I said something. I don't even know what I said, but I said something about Dick.
You said dicks measure up equally.
No, you said you're more interested in Dick, and I can't. I'm sorry.
Damn it, Matt. All right. Shall we rate the issue then before we drive ourselves back? Oh, we should just mention they've kidnapped Vicky and Willem's there, although he might be the one who kidnapped her. It's hard to tell. But they're there, and I assume he's been kidnapped as well, because she even says, "I will kill your friends" in plural. So I assume that he's also.
Well, we know that Willem was being used, right?
Like, so Willem's also been held captive. This was
definitely in the next chapter.
Yeah, this is just the next chapter of the story. This one, so.
Yep.
Which is something I'm against in annuals. Personally.
Oh, I'm not.
I don't like feeling
chapter.
Obligated to pay the extra, $5 issue in a month to get part of the story. I like them being a bonus thing that, hey, if you want something extra, here you go.
I get that thinking. I get that thinking, but what I always come back to is I hate when I get an annual, it's a standalone thing, and it ends up sucking. And it feels like just a pointless extra thing. And sometimes standalone annual stories can be great. They can be. There's examples of them being fantastic. But typically I feel safer when it's just the next chapter, is what I'm saying.
All right. So rating.
Yeah, it's rating. Matt, what are you giving it?
This is a. I'll go 7.5. This is Ty's Batgirl 26.
Connor.
5.5.
7.5 from me as well. I agree with Matt.